Good evening, everyone. Time for another silver update. We're going to start out tonight with the blog because the video that I did last night caused a little bit of controversy. And we're going to cover that in a bit here with the raw dog response. But as a lot of you know, there's really no such thing as bad publicity, so I welcome any criticism. But I wanted to jump down to, we're going to look at a story here, a very important story about JP Morgan. And the story is not important as far as what is said in the story as much as it's important who said it. But I just wanted to jump you down real quick to a chart that I posted. We're going to revisit this when we deal with Raw Dog and his criticisms, but this is a chart that I posted earlier today as the market was trading, and I was watching the market very closely, as I think probably most of you were, looking to buy, and we're always trying to buy lows because we expect to sell high, not as Raw Dog says for worthless fiat dollars, but probably something like renminbi or some other currency, or perhaps trade for real estate or something. But you can see on the chart I posted that I had a trigger set. I had a trigger set based on the downtrend line. It goes back off this chart, but it's basically the most recent downtrend. I also had a trigger set based on this support line, so a trend line and a support line cross. I was looking at about 2680. That was going to be my trigger buy to buy what normally what I do is shop through what I can find available at the time and go with the best thing, just kind of a gut instinct. But right after I posted this, it flipped and went up, and it did actually trigger, so I'll cover that in a bit. But first I want to get to that story because that's really an important story. And the reason why is because the people who cover it here are actually the NASDAQ. You can see up here that it's actually NASDAQ.com. Now a lot of people would say, well, who cares? That's not important. But you've got to understand that the silver story is a suppressed story. The silver price is a suppressed price. Physical and through the paper, but the story itself is suppressed as well. And this story is important because this is more of mainstream press, and this is Ted Butler and some others getting some coverage in mainstream press. So this is on the NASDAQ community site, and the title is JP Morgan, Every Cloud Has a Silver Lining. It's by Martin Tiller, and he says, Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, was recently called to testify on Capitol Hill regarding a declared $2 billion loss on a hedge placed by a trader in London. Congress's favorite Wall Street banker was given an easy ride by the senators, but details of the loss tarnished the squeaky clean reputation of JP Morgan for many people. This is something potential silver investors should take note of. There have long been rumors that JP Morgan rumors in the market that JP Morgan had a huge short position in silver. Many people believed that they were doing everything in their power to keep the price down to protect their position. Simply Google JP Morgan plus silver for thousands of results. Those who denied this persistent rumor pointed to the reputation of the firm as a more conservative and better behaved than other Wall Street banks. We all know how that has played out. Whether the rumors are true or not, and they likely are, JP Morgan's troubles will have a positive effect on the price of silver. If they're true, the firm, in the light of increased scrutiny, will have to begin to unwind their position. They cannot afford another story about excessive risk. At the very least, they will have to stop holding the market down. They benefit enormously from being Washington's favorite, but politicians of all stripes will change favorites faster than a 5-year-old in the playground if improper manipulation of the silver market is shown to have happened. Now, it's actually been shown for a good 5 years running. So the question is, Why is he talking about it now? In an interview with Money Morning, silver expert Ted Butler says, quote, together the eighth largest commercial silver shorts on the COMEX, largest, generally account for 50 to 60% of the entire net COMEX silver market, with JP Morgan alone holding around 25% or more of the market. When the short covering starts, the move will be spectacular. Don't be left out. There's nothing wrong with profiting from another's trouble when the other is a Wall Street bank. After all, every cloud has a silver lining. So, wow, that's a big story, and that's because it's in the mainstream press. So, let's get back to the blog, and I'm going to cover the Raw Dog rant here because it's fascinating, and I think there's some reasons for it. But before I do that, I just want to counter some of the things that are said in here. And there's comments about my predictions not coming true. And yes, I did call for $100 silver by December, and that was a failure. And I expected QE3, which didn't happen, which is actually a good thing. I'm perfectly willing to admit that I was wrong. I was wrong, and I haven't made any price prediction calls since then. I have, though, offered coverage of my buys and where I'm buying, and I wanted to jump to that real quick before we go to Raw Dog. So let's go to a NetDanny, a chart that I just did, and this covers 3 of the buys that I've done. Now, I thought about going ahead and posting buy orders and stuff from the broker, and it doesn't really matter because if I show you a screenshot of APMEX or Gainesville, people say, well, he just faked it. So it doesn't really matter, and I'm not going to do it, but I've done it in the past. But I just want to point out the buys that I did, and there's 3 buys on here. They have arrows pointing to the price that it was back in, actually it says 2009 koalas. It actually was in 2008, roughly in fall. That's when I bought my koalas for $15. And back in 2010, at the dip down to about 25, that's when I bought my lunar tigers. And today, when I tripped, I told you before, when I tripped that buy at 26.80, which is right where we're at right now, that's when I bought my 2012 2-ounce dragons, and I'll cover that and show you why I thought that was the best buy at that time. So let's go and look at these real quick, and we'll go to APMEX site. The first one is the 2009 silver koala. You can see I bought those for $15 or so. They have roughly 11 of them left, and they're priced at $56.93. The other 2, the Lunar Tiger, I told you the price of silver was $25. I paid a $5 premium for those, and it was silver was at $25, and I paid $30. They have 75 left. They're $79.99 by $82.39. By the way, you're probably going to see very similar prices or even higher on eBay. So they're actually going for those prices. And then, of course, we need to scroll up for the last one. That's the one I did today. And anybody who wants to piggyback me, if you want to, there's some left, not a lot left. You can see there's 183 left. I got those for $64.66. That was today. At that point, I showed you on the chart. So they're a little bit higher now. The reason why I chose these, I didn't put on my chart. The most recent purchase I made were the half-ounce ones, and I paid about $22 on those, and that's quite a bit higher than what they're going for now. But let's go to the half-ounce real quick before I go back to the 2-ounce to explain to you why I made that decision. You can see the half-ounce are $17.96, and I paid $22. So I actually paid $4 over this, and I was actually planning on averaging down because, as I said in the video where I covered those, that I thought the price might drop, but I also was afraid they might run out, and that's another sign I've pointed out that is a good time to buy is when they run out. But when I did the analysis of how many they had, you can see They have 2311 of those half ounce left. Now I think the mintage cap is 500,000 for both of those issues, but we only had 180. Well, when I bought, well, I can't tell you the amount, but quite a bit more than 183. There's only 183 left, and they were at 64.66. So when I looked at the price and compared the half ounce going for roughly $36 an ounce, and these are going for roughly $32 an ounce, and they're dragons. That was why I pulled the trigger on those. So those are the buys I've made. I'm trying to be pretty clear, not about predicting where the market will go, because I have no doubt the market's going to go to triple and quadruple digits, but trying to tell you when I've bought and what I've paid. So hopefully that's clear. So let's go over to the raw dog analysis, if you want to call it that, and I'm going to take a little bit of time and just comment as he goes through.
This video is dedicated to Brother John F. You know, as people know on YouTube, I'm one of the only people on YouTube that will call out these freaking frauds in the gold and silver community. These complete moronic idiots that will tell you anything and lie and give you false information to get you to buy silver so their investment goes up. These frauds.
Okay, so the first charge is that I want you to buy silver so that my investment goes up. I guess that's somewhat reasonable. I'm telling you what is left from what I bought, and it's going to run out. I don't have any doubt what I bought is going to go up. I showed you what I bought in the past went up, and I don't have any doubt what I bought today is going to go up. So I guess that's plausible, but that's not my motive. I actually would like you to get on board.
These panhandling frauds like Brother John F. Brother John F. is an example of an idiot moron who thinks he knows something about silver markets, but he's always wrong. Like 100% of the time, the dude is never right. Has anybody ever heard Brother John F. ever say anything that was right? Has anybody ever seen him call a bottom or call a top or say buy or...
Well, I'm not going to call a top because I've made it very clear that I'm interested in buying dips, and I think you should be interested in buying dips as well. So I'm not going to be like a lot of people that are going to go unnamed who jumped in May when the smackdown occurred and told you to sell, sell, sell. I don't know when those people got back in. I don't know if they ever got back in. I've always told you to buy and buy the dips. I don't know where the price is going. That's why I examine charts constantly. I think in the long term, like Mike Maloney says, that the price is going to go very, very much higher. But as far as short-term moves, I analyze charts to try to tell you where it may move. And I can't tell you where the price is going to go. Obviously, I'd be a billionaire and I'd be next-door neighbors with Jimmy Rogers in Singapore if I could tell you that.
Say sell and be correct on anything. No! The dude's a loser, right? The guy has his own Bitcoin website. The guy's a moron, right? He thinks that value is Bitcoins and he pushes silver because he owns it. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the Bitcoins for a minute. Now, he's going to talk a little bit later how Bitcoins were a losing investment. Well, yes, if you bought at 30. They're currently at 6 to 7. So if you bought at 3, actually, which they were at last year, they've doubled since last year. But I've always, and I don't cover Bitcoins on this channel, but on my Bitcoin channel, which is in hiatus right now, but I did cover Bitcoins and their main importance, which is as an evasion of capital controls. They still are such. If the Bitcoin critics were correct, then obviously the price of Bitcoins would be around a penny. They're not. They're around $6 to $7, which proves that they can't be counterfeited.
He's constantly wrong. Constantly. And he talks about the paper pushers. The paper pushers driving the price down, you know. Getting a gold and silver cartel out there, you know, and pushing the price down through their illegal shorting operation. Come on, man. There's plenty of physical out there, dude. Stop lying to people. I just watched your video. You're saying, look, you've never seen $1.50 over spot for junk silver, and how the price from pushing paper price is starting to diverge, and you're starting to see the physical price of silver come to the forefront. So I started looking at myself, and I'm like, okay. Last week, Tolliving had monster boxes of silver.
So the issue I was talking about was the fact that Tolliving went for 3 weeks without any 90% bags. Now, obviously, there's a large number of different kinds of silver. Now, if you're going to make the argument that, yes, Tolliving's out of all bags of 90% for 3 or 4 weeks, now he has some back in, but there's still Silver Eagles available, well, that's not really an argument. If you're going to use some just-in-time argument and say that there's any silver left anywhere in the world, therefore there's not a shortage, but the only thing you can buy is Buffalo Rounds, you can see the ridiculous nature of that argument. Anytime you see the major dealers sold out, you can go to Gainesville right now and see sold out signs all over the Perth products. You can see sold out signs all over APMEX. Tolliving obviously got some more in, but there are some premium rises. They're not super big, but again, Tolliving over the last 4 and 5 years has always sold junk silver below spot. It's above spot, and with some it's expanding to over $1 above spot. So he's wrong there.
Eagles for $2.49 over spot, and this week it's $2.39 over spot. You can get Buffalo Rounds for 59 cents over spot on Tolliving. Okay. GainesvilleCoins.com right now, on the front of GainesvilleCoins.com, on the very front page, they have 1972 Mexican silver 25 peso Juarez, 0.5209 ounces of silver for 75 cents over spot. This stuff's getting cheaper, dude. They got tons of it. People aren't buying silver, they're dumping it, and that's why the price is going down. It has nothing to do with the paper.
Okay, the price that's going down is a paper price. If people were dumping physical silver, so say for example the tigers that I bought, or the koalas that I bought, or silver eagles that people bought in the past, if they were dumping physical coins and that was causing the price to go down, wouldn't you see a large surplus of those coins on those sites that sell them? Of course you would. That's what I argued in 2008 when they 2010 when they crashed the price in May. You would have expected to see a glut of silver come on, because obviously all those people are dumping silver. Well, they weren't dumping physical silver. They were dumping paper silver. If there was a glut of physical silver and the selling was caused by the physical silver holders bailing out of the market, then you would have seen a glut of physical silver. That you're not seeing. So he's wrong again.
Paper manipulation of the banksters. The paper manipulation of the banksters isn't what's making people dump their silver, their physical silver, because there's tons of it out there, right? It's the fact that people love freaking paper, dude. That's the honest truth. People like dollars, which have outperformed silver, gold, and bitcoins exponentially over the last year.
Well, that's not true. Now, the dollar has rallied very little. In fact, let's go ahead and pull up the chart, and we'll do a long-term chart of the dollar. and we'll pull out to the weekly. And you can see that actually the dollar is still weakening. And as I said before, the Bitcoin has actually doubled. Silver's down a little bit for the year, but that's after a tremendous rise. So the dollar, which appears to be putting in a top, is in no way strengthening. People that are holding their wealth in dollars, if we just go over to some major currency crosses, we can go to the Chinese renminbi and see, or yuan, whatever you want to call it. You can see that the price of the dollar against the Chinese currency has continued to drop. There's a little bit of a rally. Now, if you call this the dollar strengthening, having a tiny breakout like that, as it's lost the mass amount of value, the dollar against the Japanese yen shows the same thing. The Fukushima rally and then various interventions still hasn't had much of an effect on the continuous decline of the dollar. So again, I don't really know what he's talking about here.
And they like bonds who that's also outperformed silver, gold.
Okay, and I've addressed this too. It's not that the people like bonds. The people aren't buying bonds, and the foreigners aren't buying bonds. The people who are buying bonds are the Treasury and the Federal Reserve.
And Bitcoins over the last year. By far been the best investment. People love the paper, man. Why buy gold and silver if no one else is going to buy it and everybody loving the paper? I'm starting to see a light on that, dude. You know, I'm hoping they're going to do a QE3. They will do a QE3. They got to do QE3. They're going to prime the pump, and they're going to, after the election, they'll run back up there, and maybe during the election or some uncertainty during the election, they'll not ready. But anything over 30, I'm getting out.
So, does anybody know what he's talking about? He's saying the paper is getting stronger and people love paper, but they're going to do QE3, so he's babbling.
Anything over 1600, I was going to sell all my gold at 1620 last week, and I didn't do it. You know what? I'm fat. It's fast becoming very apparent to me that ain't nobody wants gold and silver. It ain't money. It ain't never going to be money. And pretty soon, if you don't get out unscathed, it's going to be back like it was in the 1980s and 90s when you went to coin shop and there was like freaking cobwebs on the counters.
So that's what the shills have, and that's why there are shills. If the shills were not effective, they wouldn't be there. And their job is to, if they can't scare you out of your physical position, they can at least try to scare you out of adding to your physical position. That's why you have paid shills.
Seriously, nobody wants no silver and gold, dude. There's plenty of it. I'm starting to lose my own faith that it's ever going to do anything because nobody wants to buy it, dude. And you can push it all you want to on the Brother John F. channel and lie to people and tell people how paper price starting to, physical price starting to diverge from the paper price, so we're really taking to the banksters. No, you're getting your rear end handed to you the last year because the banker's paper is outperforming your gold, silver, and bitcoins, you freaking moron.
So that's the Raw Dog Rant, and I would have to say that a tree is known by its fruit, so you can derive your conclusions from that. So the silver price is definitely going to test the points I've pointed out here. And again, the reason today why I pulled the trigger is because I pointed out in the last few episodes that when you start to see the physical inventories of the dealers get very low, as I saw in the 2-ounce dragons, which I picked up today, then you want to pull the trigger before all of the inventory is evaporated, because even if you get a $5 price, if there's no silver to buy, then what good is that going to do you? And we'll talk to you next time.